This is Audible.
Tricks of the mind. Memory. Starting points. There is very little evidence to suggest that the popular idea of a photographic memory really holds. While there are a few savants who are able to hold in their mind very complex, highly detailed after images of a scene, that's eidetic memory, it typically does not hold for long and tends to be prone to subjective distortions rather than being photographically perfect. Moreover, most of the studies on extraordinary memories seem to show that these seemingly gifted individuals instinctively use rich mnemonic strategies of the kind that I will teach you here. Rather than being like a special muscle that needs training, memory is far better thought of as a set of processes. Generally, when we try, in inverted commas, to remember a lot of information, we don't work with those processes very well. We become tense, for example, and we try to overfill our short-term memory by pushing too much information into it. We seem capable of mentally processing only around 7 units of anything at a time. After that, we start forgetting bits of information in order to store new ones. If we come across a string of information that contains more than 7 or so units, we instinctively want to break it down into smaller chunks. You've probably had the experience of hearing a clock chime the hour, and then afterwards asking yourself how many times it struck. Up to about 7 chimes, and we can recall the sound. After that, we have no chance. A line of poetry that contains more than around 7 beats needs to be broken up into 2 lines. We regroup digits in phone numbers to make them roll off the tongue in easy chunks of 3 or 4. And for the same reason, if we try to hold on to more than about 7 items at a time in our heads, we get stuck and confused. With the methods here, you'll be able to store a vast number of pieces of information without ever trying to remember several things at once. I've not invented any of the following techniques, but I use them all. I offer you systems that are tried and tested, but with my own thoughts and tips from my experience. Please try out the techniques as you are invited to, even if you've never thought about improving your memory. They really are fun, surprising, and immensely useful, and it takes very little effort to play along as you hear them. At the risk of overstressing the point, if you merely listen through to them without applying yourself at all, they will only seem daft and unworkable, whereas if you do try them for yourself, the next few minutes could excitingly transform aspects of your life. You will need a pen and paper. We begin with the linking system. There now follows a list of 12 random words. Before we go any further, I'd like you to give yourself 30 seconds to try and learn as many of them as possible in order. Be good enough to actually try this, because I want you to see how quickly you're going to improve with minimal effort. Note them down as you hear them. Go on. Telephone. Sausage. Monkey. Button. Book. Cabbage. Glass. Mouse. Stomach. Cardboard. Ferry. Christmas. Good. Now put the paper down for a moment and try to recall them in order. Then try writing them out without peeking at your list first. Do it now. You can press pause throughout this as and when you need to. There you go. I hope you joined in. Relax and forget about them now and put away your piece of paper. Now, possibly you're a clever bugger who knows the technique that I'm going to teach and remembered pretty much all of them. Well, in that case, feel free to skip ahead or join in with the others anyway. No one likes a smartass. A few more of you may have tried making up a story using the words. That can work well, but you'll find a far better technique in the minutes that follow. Certainly the vast majority of you will have found the task rather difficult and will have been really struggling to recall the words correctly by the halfway stage. I know I told you to relax and forget about them, but now I'd like you to try and recall them again. After that, I'd like you to try and list them backwards. Just try now. I won't ask you to go to any effort again. Okay, back again, and I'm presuming you found that impossible. You've just tried very hard to learn the whole list and failed. What you could remember was more difficult to recall a minute or so later, and backwards recitation was presumably out of the question. The following technique is simple and easy, and if you approach it with a spirit of playful curiosity, you'll be able to have someone write down a list like this, calling out the words as they go, and you won't need to try and learn anything because by the time they've finished, you'll have them all memorized. You can have them do the same with 50 words, which requires no extra effort on your part. You'll be able to recite the list backwards from memory as easily as forwards, and still remember the list forwards and backwards days afterwards. Here's the technique in a nutshell. We're going to take each word and find a visual link with the word next to it. Not just any picture that happens to link them, but one that involves the following criteria. Number 1. The picture should be vivid. This means you need to take a moment to clearly see the picture in your head once you've decided upon it. Also, let yourself emotionally engage with it for a moment. If the picture is amusing, many of them will be, look at it and find it funny. If it's disgusting, actually find it repulsive. Some people don't think they can visualize anything and get very sweaty when asked to do anything like this. If you think you're one of those people, don't worry.